everybody. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about my experience with virtual doula services through Birth You Desire. I worked with Ursula at Birth You Desire when I delivered my daughter 5 weeks ago here in Washington, D.C. I started working with Birth You Desire very pre-COVID back in the late summer. So as you can imagine, my birth plan was very different than what it actually ended up being. And as things kind of picked up with COVID, I worked closely with Birth You Desire and Ursula to figure out if virtual doula services were right for me. I am the type of person who doesn't like to talk on the phone or to FaceTime. I'm a texter, an emailer, or an in-person type of person. And so I was initially really skeptical of if virtual services would make sense for me. And so I had a lot of conversations with Ursula around what virtual services looked like, what the trade-offs were, and honestly had to weigh if it was worth not having a doula at all or having a virtual doula. And I eventually decided that it was worth giving the virtual services a try, even though it was something I wasn't as sure about and wasn't as comfortable with, and I'm really glad I did. It was probably the best decision I made in my amended birth plan. Ursula's services through virtual doula services are just as good as what I would have expected in person. I was really pleasantly surprised. My husband and I were on the phone or FaceTime with her for most of my 36-hour labor. And we checked into the hospital, we dialed her from the triage room. She had really great questions to ask the triage nurse that we honestly wouldn't have thought of. And then once we got admitted, we put her straight on FaceTime and set her up on a cart in the hospital room and just had her talking us through absolutely everything through the labor, just like she would have if she were in person. The only real difference was that instead of her being able to help my husband physically with birthing or with labor positions or with pain relief, she was verbally coaching him through it. And I'll be totally honest, after a few hours of working on FaceTime, it didn't even feel like it was a floating head on an iPad. It felt like Ursula was there with us. I remember after I had been laboring for quite some time that someone was kind of blocking my view of the iPad, and I asked my husband, can you please move the iPad? I want to see Ursula's face. So that's how much it actually, the awkwardness of working virtually dissipated, where I actually did feel like she was in the room. And kind of what was more valuable than that, I think, for all you families going into labor in the kind of full PPE face mask world, was that was actually the only face I saw that was unmasked. Her face was the only face I could see that was smiling, or that I could see her full face and read her expressions. And the value of that alone was something I hadn't calculated in this decision. And she just went above and beyond, and I think we honestly may have gotten better attention because we were doing virtual services, because of the immediacy of being able to dial someone versus the doula having to drive from her home to the hospital and back, or whatever breaks that would be taken. All of that kind of transition time was totally eliminated, and anytime we FaceTimed or called or texted, there was an immediate response because of the beauty of technology and the ability to do these things virtually. There was not even a small feeling of awkwardness around this floating head on the screen in the labor and delivery. It was totally natural and felt exactly like Ursula was there in the room with us, and she didn't miss a beat. So I am really glad that I decided to go with virtual doula services. I might even consider it for my next kid, because it was just that much easier and more instantaneous. So I hope all of you mamas out there thinking about how your birth plan is changing and thinking about what you might need in this time, do consider the value of virtual doula services. Like I said, I was really skeptical, and it really blew me away. And had Ursula not been there for me virtually, it would have been a very different birth experience. So I'm really grateful to the team at Birth You Desire and to Ursula for being able to provide these services and I highly recommend everybody use them because the value is really, really still there. So congratulations to all you expecting mamas. Hang in there. It's a crazy world right now, but you still get a baby at the end of it. So good luck, everybody.